Just because we get all these emails, they're like, we have no money, and then you ask for something, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth on that committee that Kenny started
with the grant.
At the meeting, we had to just promise everything else about it.
Yes.
Who wants to be on it?
I'm sure there are
Maybe
a bunch
I can
of
just.
faculty who
You want my place, you.
I mean, I was just curious. I was just curious if it would benefit because of being the head of the sandbox. You need money.
Yeah, that was kind of part of being over there. But by all means.
I don't know this to be the case, but I would imagine there are going to be some frustrating meetings in that committee. I thought about it. I was like, grant writing experience, that'd be great to put on a resume. And then I was like, I don't know that it's worth it to me. I might just not have that on my resume.
Just curious who all would be volunteering for it. Like, who would actually want to be a part of that? You would think it would just be like people from departments that actually need money.
I bet you people who have no business being on there,
I'm sure.
who are like, I need to be on there. Which, like, I get it.
Sure. You can do whatever they want.
Especially if you're concerned about the money situation, which I imagine most people who are.
I'll get concerned when they start talking about cutting jobs.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to do my job the best I can with what I'm given.
Yeah, that's kind of how I view things. Really what it is when we start getting worried about these late fees that are on all these invoices that we get, then I'll be concerned. It's like when somebody starts getting talked to about not processing their stuff on time, then I'll know we're in a tight spot. Until then, you can't have a hard conversation. Then I don't think we're in that type of spot.
Yeah.
I have a question here. Hello.
I'll see what I can do.
What's up? The subtitles are activated.
Oh. Is it that simple?
Hello. I guess.
Okay. Great. Well, that's the first time I've ever dealt with that, so I'm glad it was so easy. Hey, there we go.
What's going on? What was that? OS?
Yeah, it's like a few seconds delay for whenever y'all start cussing.
Did you get the camera?
Yeah.
Worked out?
I was doing it through Firefox. Firefox can handle notifications.
Firefox is going downhill, man. That used to be my favorite browser.
That's
And
interesting.
then it just started like crashing all the time on me. And I was like, so you
Oh, I know. I just need to.
Nice.
Right. Some of this just.
Thanks. See ya.
So I've seen, have you seen a movie from the 70s called McWherter? With Faye Dunaway? Really, really
I know what you're talking about. I have not seen it.
I'm not gonna take any, where the guy goes crazy on the air.
That's dope. Hey, Luke. How are you?
I may have seen it. It's one of those movies that would like made its rounds on TV when I was a kid.
That's right, you are younger than I
So this is from '76.
Yeah,
So it's from the year I was born.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, it's hard to find access to, because I mean, it's like studying like film classes and everything, except, you know, this was written in the 70s.
They even have
Some of that made, it was a
True.
satire, but it didn't have
Yeah.
everything that's going on, you know.
Hi.
Music.
Hi, Jessica.
Oh.
Free
Yeah, we
time.
have access to all the recipes on that.
Oh, boy. One time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right,
They had
right.
the first couple of years we had it.
That's right, yeah.
What about Taylor Swift?
Right.
And so then they had to make it approved.
It's still, somebody's teaching this here, but I was like, music, it's not fun.
That's so fun. I love
Good
that.
for years.
It's funny as nobody
Right.
buys me Taylor
Yeah.
Swift tickets. I, the only
This is,
person
you
I
can get
know
on
who
there and
likes
see
Taylor
what all.
Swift is Jessica.
They got some huge
Did Beth try you at Ornament?
She did.
Yeah,
She didn't know. She
Yeah,
didn't
I
know it was Taylor
wanna
Swift.
go and like watch some of these things.
Yeah.
Wait,
And I was
really?
thinking about
It said all's fair in love and poetry.
And she didn't know that was good. That's funny.
Yeah. She got me one that said Swift.
That was pretty good.
That's obvious. Yeah.
I need to speak of that. I was just thinking, I need to go through.
What Swifty is Ornament.
Yeah,
but like
when I read that,
tea,
Right,
like
right.
tea.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's
great.
Yeah.
This setup is cool.
It is.
So if you
Wow.
cancel stuff right now, depending upon what their windows are,
Do you want to take one now?
deals on Black Friday other than Netflix. Netflix never runs fees.
Right.
You can
Do you,
usually get
would you rather me
month
take a
if you
picture
let it
of while
go.
you're talking?
Because right now, that do
Mhm.
99 cents a month plus tax. I get for $2 a month plus tax, and that they're going to be
Christine,
ready to
come
go along. And I'll just like.
Down so you can catch them now.
I mean, I could probably just decide that I just don't. have this stuff.
Right.
There's no, like, there's free.
Yeah.
There's like two.
Oh, yeah.
You have to watch
yeah,
commercials,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's a lot of good
Right.
movies.
The only time that the commercials bother me is when I'm binging something, so I got.
That's right.
Parks and
Y'all
Rec.
presented
And that's $6 extra for having no ads, because I was like, I'm just done.
And the problem too, as opposed to like with television commercials where they were sort of strategic.
Mhm. Yeah, they like.
I've been
Commercials
so,
on there,
I've had my
could be
head
a
sketched
little
a bit
line
of
dialogue,
Yeah.
just like little
all the
commercials.
preparations for
At least on TV, they waited for like a scene change.
my tenure that I was, and also like I wasn't here on Fridays for a while. Because I had to take a flex day to be with my kid, and now I have to take my Fridays back. There's Gerald. Yes, I dropped him off this morning. It was a picture day.
Monday,
Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Will be.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for coming to our library's colloquium. This will be the last one of this year, but it would be awesome for anybody who has not had the opportunity to present yet to consider, doing a colloquium next year, because we've got a new year coming and we'd love to see you. I am super excited to present two colleagues who will be presenting on increasing library access for Spanish speakers, the first steps. To my right, you will see Kelly Mouse, who is the campus librarian at the University of Memphis Lambeth in Jackson, Tennessee. In addition to her Master of Science in Information Sciences, which she just completed this summer, PUT, Kelly has an undergraduate degree in Spanish language and literature, and she has had the great privilege of traveling to Guatemala, Spain, and Ecuador. She's excited for current and future opportunities to use her passion for Spanish to increase library access for our students. In her spare time, Kelly is an amateur mushroom hunter and has written a short open access ebook, Fungi of Lambeth, a field guide, which is available on our digital commons. Dr. Irma Cinderella is a native of Puerto Rico, has been leading the University of Memphis Health Sciences Library since August 2017. In her faculty role, she supports faculty and students with research and user assistance. She brings extensive expertise in information science, project leadership, administration, teaching, and presenting. Dr. Cinderella also offers multi-language health information outreach services. Her research covers a range of topics with a primary focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion services. Outside of work, she enjoys biking and traveling. Please welcome Irma and Kelly.
Can you hear me? Hola.
Hola.
Hello. Well, thank you. Good morning. Thanks for being here. I want to thank all the audience and the participants joining online. But I want to thank the University Library staff, who is making this event possible. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So, well, this is the title of our presentation, Increasing a Library Access for Spanish Speakers, First Steps. And by offering services in Spanish, students and researchers whose first language is Spanish can better understand and navigate the library resources, databases, and other research materials in times of uncertainty. Services in Spanish can also include materials, educational materials, workshops, and events that are relevant to Spanish-speaking communities or people who want to learn to speak Spanish. This promotes a deeper connection between the library and its users. So we wish to keep developing these services. And I have the link to the university libraries because we hope this presentation reach other audiences. So the university libraries includes the main campus library, this one, it's gorgeous library, and 3 branch libraries, music, health sciences, and labs. So Kelly.
All right, so I want to introduce our team for this project. So there's me, Kelly Most. I'm an assistant professor and the campus librarian at our Lambeth branch. And I'll share more about that in just a second. We also have Tiffany Day, who unfortunately could not be here today, but she is also an assistant professor and she's a metadata and catalog librarian on the main campus. And also, of course, we have Irma Cinderella, and she is an associate professor and the health sciences librarian. So this is kind of our core team, but I wanted to emphasize that anything we do is a larger team effort and a larger collaborative effort. For instance, Ashley introduced us today. Casey was helping with a lot of the technical stuff. Robert was helping so much with me getting things on the website. And so nothing that we do is in a vacuum, and everything we do is with, so much help and collaboration from others in the library and on campus. So I just wanted to shout out those people as well. If we can go to the next slide. So this is just a little bit about the Lambeth Library, and this is where I'm the campus librarian. So this is basically a branch of the university libraries, and it's located in Jackson, Tennessee. Officially, the name is the L.L. Gobble Library, but we usually just call it the Lambeth Library. It's kind of easier to say. And you can see here's our exterior. It's a really beautiful brick building. And we have one of our student workers shelving some books, and we have one of our study room spaces as well. So basically at the Lambeth branch, it's myself and two library assistants and some student workers, and we are the team there. And we have printing services, we have a computer lab, we have a print collection, as well as full access to all the online databases and journals and ebooks and anything that you would have on the main campus. We also have some really nice, recently renovated study rooms. We have a presentation studio for students to use. We have various tech items they can check out, laptops, scientific calculators, phone chargers even, things like that. We have course reserved textbooks that students can use within the library. And I also do research consultations and instruction, and basically anything that the main campus can provide, we also provide as well at Lambeth. So that's just a little bit about what we are. And now back to you, Emma.
And this is the Baptist Memorial Healthcare Library, the Health Sciences Library. And we are located at the Community Health Building on the second floor of the University of Memphis Park Avenue campus. And we have pictures of our gorgeous library. All our libraries are beautiful. And this is, we offer individual study space, group study space, research consultation, circulation services, all the services that we offer here in campus. And we have print collection. We participate in the interlibrary loan program, but answer this, we also have access to a very diverse collection of ebooks and journals and other resources.
All right, so we wanted to also share a little bit from the ALA guidelines, kind of our rationale behind working on this project. So this is a statement, the ALA guidelines for multilingual materials, collection and development, and library services. And you can read this statement that this kind of subcommittee has prepared. It's got a lot of different points, a lot of different specifics, but one quote from it I thought was kind of a really good foundation for this work. And that says, it is assumed that it is the responsibility of libraries to provide an equitable level of service to all members of their communities, regardless of ethnic, cultural, or linguistic background. Access to library materials for ethnic, cultural, and linguistic groups should not be seen as additional or extra services, but as an integral part of every library services. So that's kind of how we see that. We don't want to see it necessarily as just an add-on or like a side project, but that it's a really key part of providing access for all of our patrons. So that is kind of where we're coming from with starting to work on this.
This is a selected list of universities that offer Spanish services. There are others, this is just a small list. But several universities, libraries in the United States offer these services to support students, faculty, and staff who speak Spanish, and like I mentioned, who are learning Spanish. So some of these institutions provide research assistance. They develop library materials, and these, like I said, are just some examples that serve as references.
And also just some quick statistics for our situation specifically. And these are coming from the Census Bureau. So in Shelby County overall, 10.2% of the population speaks a language other than English at home. And among those, that language spoken at home is 61.4% of those people. And we would definitely, be interested in providing services for other languages down the line, but we thought it makes sense to start with Spanish, since that is the largest one. And then the majority of this Latinx population in Shelby County, so 87.3, speak a language other than English at home, which would be Spanish. So that's just a little bit of stats there. Let's go to the next slide. This is some information for University of Memphis students specifically, and this is data gathered across all of our campuses. So as you can see, there has been really a huge growth, really an exponential growth, particularly in the undergraduate program, of students who primarily speak Spanish. And we'll talk in a little bit about kind of the assessment of needs, because, you know, they may very well speak English as well. But as you can see, this is a rapidly growing population, and so we really want to be aware of what their access needs may be and kind of assessing those so that we can provide them with the best possible library experience.
Yes, and this information comes from the University of Memphis Office of Institutional Research, talking about teamwork, right? We also collaborate and receive information from other departments and offices from all over campus, and the statistics from the US Bureau were provided by the government department here. So that's why our goal is to create a program. Even when we have already worked with students and faculty, we want to develop language services for the University of Memphis libraries, including workshops, research support, one-on-one or group research. We have also worked with some students already and faculty members. We have a research guide that is available, and Tiffany worked hard, and Carl and other librarians as well, and Marie. We are creating access for all this information. We have a lot of information, a lot of content in Spanish, so we also want to develop promotional materials, educational materials, and Kelly will talk about the website. These are some of our potential users. We already mentioned international students, and we think about international students who speak Spanish, of course, have worked with different students from Colombia, Venezuela, and other Latin American countries, some from the Caribbean, but also some international students want to learn Spanish, even when Spanish is not their first language. We have worked with the World Languages Spanish Department students and faculty, and there's a link guide already. There's a link, you can review it later. We want to work with students' organizations and Spanish learners. Once again, I work with nursing students, communication science students, nutrition students who work or want to work with the Spanish-speaking community. So, and of course, community members. We have to develop more outreach. We talk about the community and reaching out, which is important, but we are the community too. We are community members and other people.
All right, and a little bit about our methods and activities that we're considering here. So what's really important to us is having a user-centered approach. We want to be thinking about our users and what their needs are and how we can meet those needs, kind of a people-first approach. So as Eva mentioned, we've thought about partnerships as well, between other librarians, amongst faculty members from the Department of World Languages here at Memphis as well. And we've also talked about ways we could partner with Hispanic or Latinx student organizations, as well as community partners as we work on developing this content, because we want it to be culturally relevant and helpful. And so some potential projects, as we said, this presentation is our first steps on this process. So some potential projects, assessing the needs of Spanish-speaking students, as we mentioned, and seeing what it is that they really would benefit from. We want to develop workshop materials and research services, and we want to make sure those are aligned with the needs that we identify in our student population. We want them to be accessible, and we want them to be aligned with the users' academic and research goals as well. We also want to translate and interpret existing library materials, so things like LibGuides, things like promotional pamphlets, things like information on the website, which we will get to in a moment. We want to emphasize language accuracy and cultural relevance in that process. And we also want to continue to locate and identify Spanish language resources that are currently available and kind of promote those to students as well.
So like any other university library, we face different challenges. The first one, of course, is funding. We don't have to talk a lot about this, but we know that developing resource services and getting resources can be very challenging, especially if we want to provide access to the greater community. We know that our databases are licensed, so we need to keep finding more open source resources. There are fewer resources in Spanish. Another challenge is the translation of the existing resources. Like we did, for example, with the research guides, that can be time consuming. And if we hire professional translators, that can be expensive too. Also, after we translate and or interpret materials and resources, we need to update those. So that takes time too. We're aware of these challenges, changes in staff, like in any other university or organization. People get other opportunities, and sometimes that happens in the middle of developing a project. So that's a challenge. And of course, assessment. We need to think about how to get feedback from our audience, and then develop these services, keep developing and getting better. So we mentioned a LibGuide. I invite you later to see it in detail, but among other information, the research guide contains information about the library resources, recursos y servicios de la biblioteca, library resources and services. And if we scroll down, we see information about the branch libraries. And once again, talking about teamwork, we have a list of selected journals from the music library. We have information available from the government publications department. We have how to find books, cómo encontrar libros, how to find books. My experience with some international students is that they get very anxious to come to the library, and I think that we can use these tools to help them. I brought my business cards. There's a version in Spanish, so please help us sharing this information. They can contact us, they can contact me at the Health Sciences campus. Tiffany is here, we have Kelly, and if you can help us with that, that would be great. We also have various resources, and I want to mention that if we are researching and we use keywords in Spanish, PubMed, the EDS, and other databases will recover content in Spanish. So we have worked with that during our workshops. And also our databases include filters by language. The content of the databases is international, but we can filter and get information in Spanish. Kelly?
All right, so one of the projects that I have been working on is kind of our information section on the Lambeth Library website. So again, I don't know if you want to follow that link, and we can kind of give them a quick preview. So essentially what I worked on was in our About the Library website section, which has information about library staff, contact, parking information, what you can do in the library, like what services we have for students, what services we have for faculty and staff, what we have for community members, location of the library, just kind of like a really basic introduction, where, especially if you've never been to the library before and you're trying to get a sense of like, what's it about, also our schedules on there, things like that. So I created a Spanish translation of that information. And as we've been talking about with the partners, I did have the unofficial assistance from a professional interpreter, which is my husband, John Mark Moss. So he did assist me with that, kind of unofficially. He was voluntold to do that. So anyway, but it's I think a really good translation. I'm really proud of it, and you know, of course, we have there's Google Translate, and there's a lot of things like that they will give you a translation of a website, but a lot of times it's not very good. It's unclear. It's better than nothing, but it's not the same as a human prepared translation, and that's something I could wax eloquent about, and my husband could as well. But suffice it to say that this should be like a really solid translation that would be really helpful. And of course, one challenge with that Irma mentioned is keeping that up to date in the future. So if there's information that changes, I will update the English section, but also update the Spanish translation. And as Irma mentioned, with staffing changes, that could potentially be a challenge if there was someone in the future who was not equipped to do that. So that is kind of a challenge that we're aware of, don't really have the answer yet, but say that our permissions for community patrons were to change, or the parking information were to change. Like maybe they actually make a parking lot for the library at Lambeth. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
But that would need to be updated as well. So, but as you can see, there's the English version, and then there's this nice button that says Información en Español, and users can just click on that and they can get a really good overview. So I'm hoping that will be a helpful service. And one thing I actually, I don't know if we have mentioned this yet, but Irma and I we offer the research consultation sessions in Spanish as well. And that's on that section of the website. So that's something we currently, we're already offering that could be really helpful to a student who wants to get some research assistance, and they can do it in Spanish. So that is what I've been working on so far. And again, shout out to Robert, very patient, helping me with all the website changes and re-edits and all of that stuff. So
yes. So I would like to invite the audience to access these resources that we are mentioning. We're not showing everything today. It's your homework. And we have, like I mentioned, the Spanish Lead Guide. The government documents department also provides information in Spanish. Now we also have the Lambeth website, and we have some lead guides for the Spanish department here from my campus. And I wanted to mention also that even if the student is learning Spanish, sometimes research consultations can be bilingual. So they don't have to feel that they have to speak Spanish the whole time. They can meet with me, and we have a bilingual or a Spanglish research consultation. Also, our international students are learning English, so they will. There is not a lot of research about how we enhance academic success doing this, providing services in Spanish in different libraries, but there is a lot of evidence about how services in general get better outcomes if we reach out, if we meet people halfway. So it's more comfortable sometimes to learn how to do something in your native language. So both things go hand to hand. If you want to learn Spanish, we can help you. And also, if you prefer to have your research consultation in Spanish, we can do it too. So we hope to enhance academic success, improve access to information. As librarians, this is part of our philosophy, our values. This is what we do. The National Library of Medicine provides tools, for example, Medline Plus, with a whole version of the page, of the website in Spanish, and links to other important information. So that's available and that's free. And we also think that a benefit is that this and other projects as well promote inclusivity. And this is always a goal for all of us. We want these services to be relevant. So after we receive feedback at some point, from students and faculty, we wish to keep developing our services. And we will discuss in the future what our updates and our translations and all the activities that we're gonna work with this project. So this is a selected list of references on the topic. Muchísimas gracias a todos y a todas y a todes. And Kelly, do you want to say something before we go to the questions and comments?
Yeah, just thank you so much for your time, and excited to see what we work on in the future.
We have time for questions, comments, feedback, recommendations. Yes.
Would you scroll back to the website slide and click on the link so you can see what Kelly is working on?
You try.
Okay, so we can try. Yeah.
Okay, click
No, was it not cooperating?
click on the lab with link so you can show the pages that Kelly was talking about. Is it a live link?
I have a quick question while you're trying to find those.
Yeah.
Do you know if the university has like Spanish translating like services? Like if you wanted to have like let's say for the colloquium, if we wanted to have someone come and translate during an event, do you know? if
Well,
the
doing an
university
event would be an interpreter.
Yeah,
Translation is,
when the university.
Translation's written.
but, but.
Yeah, I mean, I do know a guy.
I don't know for me. I know the medical interpreters, I know that they're translators, but I don't know if that's what they do here. That's the part of their duties, but that's a great question. I'm gonna write it down. Because maybe we can have a list of resources, yes.
Yeah, and of course that always comes back to the funding challenge that Irma mentioned, but we definitely both have contacts that could provide a really professional interpreting service. And that would be great to have.
Yes, well, thank you, Anna. We have here the language information and staff. I'm gonna scroll down. Kelly, can you see the website?
I can't see the screen, unfortunately. The joys of hybrid.
Robert, would you like to describe a little bit of?
Well, I mean, this is just Kelly's vision realized. I mean, when you click on the Spanish button, information in Espanol button, it takes you to the Lambda Spanish page that Kelly made. And so the goal was, hey, this turned out well. We think it turned out pretty well. So we thought, since your goal anyway was to have more pages that are in Spanish, that would be something that we could certainly do if you wanted to move forward with that in the future. I mean, with Kenny's permission, of course, but,
Well, they're here.
That's a good idea,
Yeah.
especially with seeing the increase in students. That was crazy. Like what was it, 400 students?
I think it's 600.
Well, it went from
Yeah.
400 to 600 in a year. And before that, it was like way less.
Yes, well, sometimes when we interpret statistics, we know that sometimes people start counting and then we see.
Right,
This.
right.
When we asked the first time, I don't think the question was included as part of the initial survey, and now it is. So
Okay.
your native language is Spanish. And so you have the opportunity to tell the university. And this is a great job. Wow, Robert and Kelly, yes, I agree. This is wonderful, this information. And I didn't know that you have visitas de perritos, you have dogs there.
Yeah, we have the therapy dogs that come during finals week, and it's a lot of people's favorite thing, because the students can come and de-stress and hang out with the dogs, and it's a very fun time. I personally wish that it was possible to have therapy cats, because I'm a cat person at heart, but obviously, personality-wise, with cats, that would be challenging. But yeah, the students really love it, so it's really fun.
Yes.
It's a fun doing that.
Yeah. Any other question or comment, feedback? Yes.
So for those of us who are not Spanish speakers, do you have recommendations in terms of best ways of learning that aren't moving to Mexico?
Or Puerto Rico.
Transparent language.
You have passport to go to
our-
Puerto Rico. Yes.
Transparent language we have through the I forget if it's through the university. I think it's on Tennessee Electronic Library, so I think it's free to everyone. But transparent language is really great, and they have Spanish on there. They have a ton of languages on there. But I've with the accessibility committee, we did kind of a pilot learning group for ASL, for American Sign Language, and that was really fun. So that could be something potentially to think about in the future of having maybe like a Spanish learning group and using the transparent language. So it has different exercises. It has like speaking, writing, listening. I also think Duolingo is really great. If anyone, you can just get that on your phone, and so there's also a lot of great. There's so much content now on Netflix in Spanish and Hulu and Amazon Prime, and you can put the English subtitles, you can put the Spanish subtitles, and like my husband and I will do that a lot, just to kind of keep practicing with it, and I'll have the Spanish audio and I'll have the Spanish subtitles, and sometimes I'll pause it and ask him to clarify if there's like a regional specific word or something like that. But there's so much of that available now that could be really good practice.
Thank you. And also the classes, you can meet with me.
And we'll go to Puerto Rico.
Oh, yes.
Staff trip.
Yes. Yes, but it all depends on what you want to do. Do you want to read in Spanish? Go ahead and start reading in Spanish. Want to speak Spanish? Basic words. You can meet with a tutor. The government and some organizations like Latino Memphis offer classes. So, but there are many options. Yes, just start. It's the Netflix is a great option. No, it's okay. Yes.
I was just gonna say, I also have to shout out the restaurant in Memphis, Mi Tierra. I don't know if anyone has been there. It's a Colombian restaurant, and it's so good. The food is so good. So, that could be an excuse to go, because you're gonna go there to practice and then learn
All
Spanish.
the menu,
And then you also
yes.
get some really amazing food. It's such a great restaurant.
Yeah. When I was learning to speak English, I'm still learning, but music helps. I don't know, not everybody's the same, so what works for you, but I mean, music always helps. Learn songs, sounds like you know the language. Yes, karaoke, all that. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you guys.